Welcome to the Heartland Journal's Tennessee podcast with your host, Steve Abramowicz, editor-in-chief of heartlandjournal.com.
Joining me are three experts who live at the intersection of creativity and innovation. We'll spend about 15 minutes each with the panelists, then finish with a Q&A. After lunch, we'll have Mike Snider and Bill Williams and Lucas Foster. Mike Snider is a partner at William Morris Endeavor and leads its Christian media group in Nashville, a 20-year music industry veteran. He's responsible for the agency's Christian music division. Brian Williams has spent over 20 years at the forefront of entertainment and business development, forging strategic alliances that span the media landscape. And Lucas Foster, best known as a producer on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Ford versus Ferrari, based on credits in that role in 10 films with $1.247 billion worldwide aggregate box office. And then my third panel of the day with Michael Blanton, Hank Irwin, Chris Thomason, and Nick Searcy. Michael Blanton built a creative house that would grow beyond his dreams. Amy Grant, Michael W. Smith, and he created the Christian contemporary music genre that is still thriving to this day. Hank Irwin, a broadcaster and a former Republican state senator from Alabama and father of the incredibly talented Irwin brothers, John Irwin behind House of David, and Andy with I Can Only Imagine 2 out next spring. And the Jesus Revolution. Chris is a veteran of the music, media, and event industry as an executive producer, a producer, A&R, and audio engineer. He has been a part of music, videos, and films that have sold in excess of 40 million units worldwide. He has worked with Grammy and Tony Award-winning artists, and his creative work has been awarded multiple RIAA Platinum and Gold Awards. Many of these products have been nominated, and some have won Grammys, Stellar, and Dove Awards. Last but not least, Nick Searcy, actor, star of movie and TV, and author of the book Justify This, A Career Without Compromise. You'll want to stick around for the Q&A on all these immensely talented and creative people with a combined career spanning over 100 years. In a business that most don't last one. Many of which have been on my show or my old show, if you remember, the CEO Special, still available on YouTube for free if you want to learn more about these folks. I hope you like it. Let's do this. Here we are outside Nashville Film Institute. There it is. I don't know if you can see that. Hope you can. It begins. Let's go inside.
All right, we're going to get started here. So first things first, I'm just going to do brief intros and then let them introduce you even more. This is Lucas Foster, this is Brian Williams, and this is Mike Snider. So why don't you tell everybody who you are and why you're here, since they probably never heard of you before.
I'm here because I got roped in by Steve.
Yes, you're welcome.
Arm twisted by Steve. I am, I don't know what I am. I'm a movie producer. I produced 40 or more movies. And produced some television and done a bunch of writing and some directing and so on. So I'm kind of a utility player.
Who here has seen Ford versus Ferrari?
Yeah.
Who has seen Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Yeah.
Who enjoyed Johnny Depp in the what's the 5G of Pirates of the Caribbean? Nobody? Okay.
Yes.
You can thank him for that.
Yes.
You want to say anything else about yourself before we move on? Can you get, is this on?
No.
It's really quiet.
I don't know. I'm still here. That's what I have to say.
Okay,
Still doing it
We'll get very
somehow.
in a moment. You'll know why he's here. Brian, tell us about yourself.
All right, well, I'm a Nashvilleian now. I can say that because I've been here for longer than 7 years. I run a company in town called Third Coast Film, and work with a lot of folks I see in the room, and just happy to be here. Thanks, Steve.
All right, and Mr. Mike Snider, all the way down from Nashville as well.
Yeah, drove all the way in from Nashville.
Got your shots, your papers, everything in order?
I got it. I moved to I'm Mike Snider, William Morris Endeavor WME. I'm an agent. I focus mainly on music, but I do a lot of TV and film production work, representing production companies, a few writers and directors, things like that, but mostly musicians. And that's kind of me.
They're so humble. I mean, probably like $1 billion of box office between the three of them at least. All right. Well, I'm thrilled to have them here. I'm very thankful that they said yes, because that's the kind of guys they are, is guys who say yes, even though all day long they're probably told no, no, no. And because of that, they are here and not in Hollywood. So we're thankful that they decided to make Nashville and Tennessee their headquarters and their stomping grounds. And they all have the same story. They lived there forever. They had a wonderful career in the business when it was good, but something changed along the way, and they're going to tell you all about it. So, first question I have for the audience: who's heard of Nicole Kidman? Who's heard of? Let's see, what's another good one? It's Tom Cruise. Who's heard of Tom Cruise? Okay, they were married, so you should have heard of both of them at the same time. Who has heard of Tilly Norwood?
All right, that guy.
What? Okay, all right, well. Let's start with the talent agent. Who is Tilly Norwood, and why is AI actor Tilly Norwood young, ambitious, and the end of the industry as we know it, as Variety magazine said? 2 years after AI protections ruled the Hollywood labor strikes, an emerging production studio is introducing a computer-made movie star to rival Scarlett Johansson, and SAG-AFTRA isn't happy. That's the way Vanity Fair described it on September 30th.
She's beautiful. It's really funny. I did a podcast with Steve the other day, and he did a couple things like this where he would hit me with a question, and I'd be like, dude, you're way smarter than me. You're like so much further ahead. So,
I can't afford you guys with all these checks I have to send you for being nice to me. So
it's like crazy. And so his first question is about an AI actress who I don't represent. Because how do you represent an AI actress, which is something that we're going through as an industry right now and trying to figure it out. And so he started with a really hard one. Didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So I'm going to say the same thing to you on the podcast. We don't know. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do and all the rights and how it happens with writers and scripts and actors. And now we have bands that are coming out that are AI generated, that are crushing it. And now you're going to have movies made with AI generated actors. So I don't really know what your question was, except that it's frustrating.
Well, here's
it's
why
not frustrating, it's exciting.
Here's why I put you in this trap. So you literally carved out and created the Christian division of William Morris Agency, which is the oldest and largest, and they merged with the largest sports entertainment business, so it is the place. You did that, you were president of the creation. You had to create, let's just say, or institutionalize the Christian creative space. How are they going to do it with the AI space?
Oh, I see where you're going. Gosh, I'm a partner at WME. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've seen changes come from CD sales to digital to streaming, from theatrical to networks to streaming to PO, all the things. Like, we somehow find our way through it. That is a huge question that I sure don't have the answer to, because I'm grinding it out every day doing the things I'm doing. But I know it's a major part of discussion at the agency, something we talk about constantly. We actually have 5 panelists, or we're having something similar to this with top people in AI coming to our office in 2 weeks, where we can all sit down and hear about it and ask questions and try and navigate through it. But we're going to have to figure it out. And every time when these changes happen, we have to figure out how we're going to monetize it. Certain parts of the industry shrink and the other parts grow. And so if you're an old guy like me, we always go through these and it's like, are we ahead of the game or are we about to get left behind? And so it's coming, it's been coming, it's really scary because I saw Terminator. Did you see Terminator?
Many times.
And we're probably all gonna die by this actress. She's gonna kill us all.
She's gonna entertain the robots when we're all dead. Okay, that's great. So those who don't know, to be serious, Tilly Norwood is an AI generated by, I don't know how to say it, Xioxia, Xicioia. We're all gonna be working for them. The AI division of Particle 6 Group announced at the Zurich Film Festival about to be signed by a talent agent, promoted allegations of personality rights violations, right of publicity such as name, image, likeness, property rights. 2 years after AI protections for both writers and actors ruled the Hollywood labor strikes, you'll remember those? I know you do. Production studio Particle 6 is introducing an AI-generated actor in hopes can rival real-life human movie stars like Oscar-winning Natalie Portman and Oscar nominee accidental AI symbol Scarlett Johansson, ironically the actress, the voiceover actress in Her, the sexy operating system. So she did it to herself. Scarlett Johansson wants AI boundaries, she said in the strike. So to you, Mr. Foster, after 95 years, the original version of Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse from the 1928 film Steamboat Willie is in the public domain, meaning it can be used, shared, and repurposed freely in the United States. How do you make movies with actors like you did, with obviously the highest grossing at the time, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, in this environment of AI?
I'm a big believer in the fundamentals. I think that, for whatever it's worth, having worked on a lot of different types of projects with a lot of different levels of filmmakers, people very experienced, made many movies, people who are making their first movie, and everything in between. It really, I know this is going to sound kind of like a platitude, but it's true. It's about the story. If you have the goods, if you have a screenplay that is really great, a lot of things can happen from there. Getting a screenplay that people who need to think this feel that is great, whether that's a director, whether that's a financier, distributor, actors who need to join your thing. A lot of what producing is convincing people that you have the goods, that you have something that's worthy of investing tens of millions of dollars in. I'm sure you guys know this, but it's not just the cost of the production, but it's the cost of marketing and distribution of the production. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is a $105 million movie, which sounds like a lot of money, but it really isn't when you're paying the actors what we paid them. But it's another $100+ million to market that film. It's a $250 million bet to release Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and that's 20 years ago. That same movie today is $300+ million, maybe more. So we talked about making Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2 for a long time, and it was easily going to cost over $200 million. So it's about the story, stupid. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's really kind of that ridiculous. If you have the goods, you can get your movie made. And if you don't have the goods, your movie's not getting made no matter how much money you throw at it. Now, that said, sometimes vanity projects get made, some actor decides that they love something for whatever reason that's a popular actor or a popular director, or sometimes a studio executive is just in love with the sound of their own voice and they're like, I want to make my idea. I worked on that movie. It's called Morbius. It's really terrible. Anyway, so there's no one way to do it, but I would say that the fundamental thing you have to have is a really compelling story in written form. You can have all the pitch decks you want and sizzle reels and those kinds of things, and they're helpful, but the script gets the producer and or the director and or the director gets the actors and the money. And if you don't do it in that order, in that manner, I don't think it works out very well. I don't think that the AI revolution is materially going to change that. Will there be some experimental films where the novelty factor is a thing, where the first AI, 2-hour AI experience? Sure, there's going to be some of those. It's all going to be about the writing. If the writing is there, other good things can happen. If the writing is not there, it's very hard. I have been on every type of movie that you can imagine. I've been involved as a studio executive. I was a studio executive twice, and I've been a producer for many years. I've worked on, in some form, over 100 movies that have been made, and many, many hundreds that weren't made. And I will tell you that having a script is a lot better than not having one. If you don't have one and you're shooting a movie and your script doesn't work, it will become evident while you're shooting, and it sucks. It's terrible, because I've been, Law Abiding Citizen is a movie that I was involved in, and I was sitting on the set, the director and the lead actor came to me and were like, we don't like this scene, and we don't want to shoot it, and we want to rewrite it, and I'm like, we're lighting the set, and they're like, yeah, can you fix it? And I literally, the writer and I sat in an auditorium, like in a chair like yours, over in the corner with a laptop, and rewrote the scene that we then shot, which is in the movie. So it's better to have a script that works than to be doing that, okay? Just as a general rule. So I think AI, you know, it's gonna be a thing. It is going to change some things, you know, dramatically. But is it the end of the world? I personally don't believe so. I think that the same issues are the same. Human behavior, what kind of stories we like, what we emotionally react to, is not changing. What are the tools that we use to tell those stories? Yeah, those are changing. But the storytelling methodology, not changing.
Before we get to Brian, Mike, do you want to say?
I want to back right. I think what Lucas is saying is correct. There's always going to be ways to make films that are a shtick, from the Lego movie to special effects to an AI-generated actor to either inexpensive. We have animation studios now that are all AI, and we're creating animation much cheaper. It does all start with the story, and it all starts with the song. And I think one of the reasons why Stephen asked me is we get into it is the rights of a song or a script written by AI, right? Different than an actor or a band or a fake band that's AI, right? And I think why he asked me is representation. I'm in the representation business. And it's hard, that's where it hurts me, or where it's harder to figure out for me. Like representing something that's computer generated, which is, I think, kind of why you asked me.
Yeah,
but I totally agree with him.
It's very
in
complex.
all things, the core of it is the quality of it. And I don't think actors are ever going to go away, and musicians are never going to go away, and authors, speakers, people, that's what we want. I can tell the difference, too, when it's generated. But he's right.
So my example, obviously, Mission Impossible, The Last, whatever it was. Tom Cruise, I think, jumped out of an airplane 7 times, and each time they had to catch the canopy on fire so they could get that perfect take, because he's crazy like that. But there's an insurance company behind that, because movies are business, right? You're seeing money moving on the screen, even though it's entertaining and escapist. Brian, you've been an executive producer, you kind of know the dollars and cents of this. If AI can do Tom's stunt for free versus insurance companies saying, don't even do it, but he did it anyway, how do you make that perfect film that you're always looking for?
Well, right now I just look at it like, what are the efficiencies that can be created utilizing these tools and technologies? I think there'll be a lot less reshoots. What it's doing in the post-production world is pretty phenomenal. And it could come to a place where making the second Mr. and Mrs. Smith will actually be less, not more. We haven't gotten there yet, right? And a marriage.
Do you know what that would really cost to get them together? Not enough money in the world.
Get them together to divorce them would cost a fortune.
Yeah. But we would all love it.
Just shoot the scenes separately, don't even let them know.
Yeah, that would be the biggest movie of all time.
Yeah, called it.
Yeah, we should talk. Anyway, you know, there are things that are absolutely good. I think there's this natural sort of fear factor around it, because a lot of it is still unknown, and we're discovering what it can do. You know, some people still think AI is ChatGPT, and it's, you know, a glorified search engine. But really, it has the ability to create less risk, less liability, you know, with stunts and things like that, and greater efficiencies, so that, you know, you can make things for less money, which is really important right now, because the economics aren't there. The risk is too high, The box office numbers are lower, but the cost hasn't come down to meet that, right? So great, if we can integrate that and train more people about how to use it and how to evolve it in a way that doesn't come at the expense of a lot of other people, we got to find out that happy medium. And I'm not suggesting we have, but this is a sort of time of discovery. I think it's okay to do that. You know, is it going to put all the stunt people out of work? I sure hope not. But as Mike said, things evolve. Some people, are going to find that there's a transition period where their expertise is no longer required, and that's always been the case with technological advancements, and it'll continue to be. But at the end of the day, it always has led to something better. Now, if we're getting to the very end and we're at like Skynet world, I don't know what to say about that.
Which all came out of a movie, by the way, but okay. Well, I love it. I love it because it's given the different angles that you all three have in the perspective of. And so the key, I think, let's see how to phrase it, is if we had, well, I think you'll have your answer in this question, I believe, if I know where you're going. When analog switched to digital, this is what I've discovered. A lot of the jobs were able to come back that were lost in the new digital age. And the last 35 years, I say, kept the business going fine. What I'm finding, what I'm told now with Ms. Norwood in the mix, is that there could be upwards of 40% of those jobs, like analog cutters or whatever, that are no longer needed. They will be able to find jobs back in the business. Do you agree or disagree?
I don't agree. I don't think that AI is going to result in the mass layoffs of people who have a certain kind of professional expertise. We use a lot of AI tools currently, all kinds of them, probably 20 different AI tools. They will get better. They're not good enough right now. They're being used in all kinds of ways. Some of them work, some of them don't. I think what you were talking about in the representation, area, one of the issues is a contract issue. How do you even write a contract? It's not, AI created material is not protectable by copyright. If you're going to invest,
use an AI lawyer.
Yeah. There you go. Laws will eventually change and catch up with this, but not yet. So, I think what everybody is saying is we can see it on the horizon that big changes are coming. Nobody knows really what those changes will be. I think, I personally live in the here and now. I can't worry about what's going to happen 10 years from now. All I can do is do the best version of what I do every day that I get up, and I can contribute that. If you're a writer, you're a director, you write music, you sing music, you do comedy, or whatever it is you do that is creative, just do that and do it at a really high level of fidelity and keep getting better at it. Work on your craft. I'm 63 years old. I have the attitude that I need to get better at my job. Even though I've made a lot of movies already, I'm trying to improve my own contribution. That's really all you can do, in my opinion. I don't think you spending a lot of time worrying about how AI is going to destroy the world, like Justine Bateman, is useful. I really don't think it's useful. I think that what's good is to hone your craft, your instrument, whatever that is. If your instrument is, representing the interests of other people effectively, or being one of the people that needs representation, it doesn't matter. Just do that at the highest level of craft that is available to you and with the most integrity that you can summon in doing it. Be honest with people. We talked, I'm brutally honest about, stuff. Like, I think radical transparency is very good. Just do that and let the rest take care of itself. Use the tools, don't use the tools, but don't worry about the tools. That's my point of view.
Right?
I kind of agree with most of that. We're not, the genie's not going back in the bottle, right? So I think, we're in a time right now where the, box office has slumped. There are tons of layoffs happening. People are not working, and none of that's because of AI. It's because of the economy. It's because of the decisions that studios are making. It's changing tastes and behaviors, and Hollywood isn't adapting fast enough. So if we can utilize these tools to create more efficiencies, then by God, we have to do it. And as we realize ways that it can, continue to improve, then we have to do that. And we can't get too stuck on, the things that haven't happened yet. AI is going to affect every industry, and so our only choice is to sort of go through it and try to go through it in a way where you keep your integrity intact. You look for ways that you can lift up others in the process, put people to work. Love putting money in people's pockets. That I get a great joy from doing that, right? So we have to keep our eyes on the goal, which is to create more movies. And there's a really good chance that these AI tools are going to allow more product to get into the marketplace, and new and original and fresh product that Hollywood has really been lacking.
Lack of originality.
That's right.
So Mike, before I get your take on this, actors strike, affect you more, refers to multiple labor actions by performers in the entertainment industry, and the ongoing 2024-2025 SAG-AFTRA video game strike, as well as preparation for a potential strike by Broadway actors as well. 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike began on July 14th, 2023, ended November 9th, 2023, after a tentative agreement was reached with the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers on November 8th, 2023, the longest in Hollywood history. It was driven by multiple issues disputed: streaming residuals, the regulation of self-tape auditions, and the use of artificial intelligence to replicate actors' likenesses without consent or fair compensation. The contract was ratified by SAG-AFTRA members on December 5, 2023, with over 78% voting in favor. Last July 2024, SAG-AFTRA initiated a new strike against major video game publishers targeting voice actors and motion capture artists over the use of AI and the lack of protections in the expired interactive media agreement. That strike began on July 26, 2024, following a year and a half of failed negotiations. So based on what we just heard, how, barring a AI agent, how did you negotiate for your talent? Because once upon a time, and I'm old enough to remember, I went to movies to see the actor. I didn't go to see the zeros and ones. I can see that on my phone. How do you do it? The strike. What was resolved in the strike?
What was the what?
The strike.
You want to just talk about the strike?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the AI part of the strike, it's just an ongoing thing, and the voiceovers is a bigger thing than the actors, right? And we could, I'm not, to wrap up that, is like, AI isn't really affecting us other than in a positive way currently, as far as creators, because they're tools. Like Lucas said, they're tools that we can use. Some are good, some are bad. But it's going to become a problem, so we need to stay ahead of it. It's not a problem. You can look at it any way you want. The strike was a disaster for Hollywood. Shut everything down. Nobody made any money. It was tragic. But I know that once everybody was, people were still working.
Not in California.
But yeah, they were. They were working for me under different names and writing scripts that they weren't supposed to write, but it was bad.
And this was on the heels of COVID.
On the heels of COVID, right after COVID. So it was horrible, yeah. So I don't know what to say. Is like, everyone was glad that it was over. Everybody got right back to work. All the writers that I know seem to be happy with it, and most of the writers I knew were frustrated by the end, and even some at the beginning. I don't really know what else except that it was,
Lucas, have you seen any benefits from the strike negotiations? Because there's two different types of lines in the industry. There's top line, like you guys, and then there's the bottom line folks who all kind of do the yeoman work and traffic and editing and craft services. They also have a union. Did you see anything come out of those negotiations that were a benefit to people who want to make movies?
There were, in my view, some positives, particularly on the TV writing staff side. But overall, it was a negative. The whole thing was a negative event for a variety of reasons. It gave people who do not have our best interest at heart as artists and creators the excuse to cut back on a lot of things. They cut deals, they cut minimum, or they cut policies that these are like made up policies. Keep in mind I was a studio executive twice, so I'm talking about this from a macro perspective of having been at a studio. They took policies that were fake policies and reduced them further. So it wasn't a great benefit. Some people may be happy with the outcome in their specific instance. Like if you were a staff writer and you were maybe not going to have a long job or not have a job at all. More jobs, I think, were created as a result of that. But in the film business, on the motion picture side, it was a lot of negatives. It was a lot of red lights. I can't really think of a positive off the top of my head. Base level incomes, union contract, is the minimum basic agreement. It's not what we negotiate with people, it's the minimum we have to pay. So the minimums went up, which is maybe acceptable, although, we could get into the weeds about how they define a low budget production versus a high budget production, which is preposterous. But anyway, I think the business is a contraction for all the reasons that he said, which is that the economic model has shifted dramatically and consumer behavior has shifted. And going to the movies, which is something we all used to routinely think of as the place to go, now you do it on your phone or on your bathroom, your TV in your bathroom or whatever, and you just don't have the same imperative. And whether we like it or not, theatrical exhibition in movies drives all of the downstream revenue streams. What we now call the pay one window is completely affected by whether a movie receives a theatrical release or even a competent theatrical release, because you can receive a theatrical release that is not competent. So I think the business is in a paradigm shift. It's a pivot moment where these technologies, streaming and other technologies, basically the internet in various forms, has disrupted our legacy practices to the point where the new thing hasn't totally emerged, but the old thing has been dead.
It's been diminished, but it's not dead.
It's not dead.
Yeah, but I think that's really, we're trying to figure it out. It's moving. How fast is it moving? Is this going to die? Which we want to believe it's not that thing that we love, that's romantic, that's awesome and going to the theaters. But yeah, guys, we're trying to figure it out.
And you might, maybe the three of you haven't noticed, but I'm teeing this up as to why Tennessee is the greatest location with the perfect window of opportunity to do this. So to you, Brian, states have long offered tax incentives to entice film and TV productions, but interest really has spiked since COVID to get out of Burbank, basically. For example, California offers a 35% tax credit for qualified expenditures with higher rates for relocating TV series, 40%, and additional credits for hiring local labor or using out-of-zone expenditures, which is actually new. It used to be you got the credit in LA, now you can go to Northern California, where I'm from, and actually get the credit. That's great, but I don't think it's going to work. Georgia provides a state tax credit of 20% on qualified spending with an additional 10% if the Georgia promotion is included, resulting in potential 30% of total credit, but not good enough. Disney said, see you later. They went to the UK. New Mexico offers a refundable tax credit ranging from 25% to 40% on qualified in-state spending. Every state has something with additional incentives for filming outside major cities and for TV series. When you're looking at your budgets and your investors, and we talked about AI being a nice tool to help you shave some margins on certain high cost items, including insurance, where do you like to go to treat your money the best, and what would Tennessee do to get you to do it?
This is kind of a landmine for me. So I don't know that with Tennessee's current governmental structure, being a state with zero income tax, that there is a competitive incentive that can be created. When I first got here, that was sort of the rally cry, and everybody wanted to focus on increasing the incentive. And that's not a bad thing, and I hope that continues, and I hope that we're able to find creative ways to make it cost effective to shoot here. But coming from California, I also kind of like that there's zero state income tax. It's kind of great. So you really have to balance that. And you know, I think I've said to you before, I look at what Tennessee's natural resources are, and it's IP. It is a place to generate stories and scripts and work with creatives and do development, right? And I think if the incentive changes over time, then infrastructure, production infrastructure will be built around it, like happened in Georgia, right? There's now a lot of studios with tumbleweeds rolling through, but they built it because it was a sustained tax incentive. So, you know, getting from point A to point B is really about maximizing what we do have here, and then being willing, you know, to make tough choices, which sometimes means not shooting here. And if there's any commission people in the room, please don't kill me. But the reality is, you know, very close by, Kentucky, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Georgia, still in a lot of cases, you know, you can make those incentives work. And again, you know, I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't be advocating for more incentive. I just think we have to be practical in that process and not wait to you know, or hold back on our craft, you know, until that happens, because I think there's a long way to get there, and we have to be realistic about that. You know, these other states have a tax base. They have a state income tax that's predictable, that they can, you know, pretty easily say, okay, we're going to take a portion of what our revenues are and use it towards this incentive. And Tennessee has to be a lot more creative about that, because there is that money doesn't exist.
That is true. The William Morris Agency was a Hollywood-based talent agency, represents some of the best-known 20th century entertainers in film, television, and music. During its 109-year tenure, I think it's 110 now, it came to be regarded as the first great talent agency in show business. April 2009, WMA announced it would merge with Endeavor Talent Agency to form William Morris Endeavor, WME. William Morris Endeavor was renamed WMEING in 2013. Then Endeavor in October 2017, launching a Christian music division in its Nashville office. Heading to the department is 20-year industry veteran Mike Snider. And that's obviously past tense. So, you chose Nashville, you didn't choose LA. They let you do it. How did Hollywood treat you, and how did you overcome all the hurdles to make it the world's greatest Christian-based talent agency on earth?
Wow, the world's greatest. I like that. Can I ask just a real quick question? Are most people on content like film, TV here in this room? What is your, yes? Yeah? Producers? Raise your hand if you're producers. Like writers? Actors? Roller skaters? Anybody? There you go. I just want to know who I was talking to. Thank you. Huh?
In the 80s, not anymore, ACL.
Oh, dude, I gotta get a picture of that. I want to picture you roller skating. You know what? Nashville was unbelievably receptive to it. You know, Christian music is based here. This is Music City, so coming to town, I mean, I honestly wanted to do a follow-up question for them because I came here for music, and so we started in that, and through the process of time, started doing film first. Started getting into some TV, and so I will say WME was extremely receptive for launching here and being a part of it, both in the music side and the TV and film side. We're still trying to grow that side of it because of all the things that these guys are talking about. You know, why they moved here is no tax incentives, no infrastructure. We have to go outside to find it, but everybody's moving here, which is interesting. So on the music side and starting it was fantastic because Franklin's basically was, but now everybody's kind of downtown. So, and if you see does anybody ever know what Christian music is? Maybe a little bit. We just had the Dove Awards last week. It was massive. We had it at the arena. It's never been hotter. Like, it's just the biggest, fastest growing genre in the country right now, and maybe the world. But, so that's been fun. And basically taking that, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but them allowing me to take just that core music business that was already based here and to broaden it and to do all the things that WME already does, which is the largest, I think the best agency in the world. These guys may argue, but I do represent this one, so you better not say that. Is to be able to broaden it. I mean, from podcasts to, you know, representing digital clients to, you know, producers, taking some of my musicians, like I can only imagine 2's about to come out. That's the story of Bart Millard. You know, 85 million box office we had the first time around, then we've made a few more, signing Kingdom Business, cutting their deal at Lionsgate. Like, it's real business, but I will still say the majority of the things that we get done, we do out west. Like, the deals that we cut, the people that I use.
Like farmers and Hicks and Hayseeds and treat you with respect because you proved it at the dollars and cents, or what's the attitude about Nashville, Hollywood East being not so real?
I would say it's just now starting to feel like I can walk through the halls with, you know, with it being, I don't know how to say it, but a little, I mean, we're doing enough business now and making, you know, what Ari said to me is he did not care about any of the Christian stuff. Are we going to be the best?
Ari Emanuel for those.
Ari Emanuel. Are we going to be the best? And will you make money? He didn't care about that stuff.
Mike said to me, it's like the attitude is like, prove it. Yeah. Just like, go get it done. You know?
That was the first 5 years. The next 10 was like, hey, I like these checks.
Well, now it's hot. You know, now they're calling, now I'm getting brought in on meetings that I never would have gotten brought in on. Like last week. Is it last week? What is today?
Saturday.
Like Theo of Golden is this hot book, and now all of a sudden everybody's stammering, and they're calling me from LA going, what do you know about this book? And I'm like, well, I know the writer, Alan Levi, and you know, that kind of stuff. So they're calling me now. Interestingly enough, on some calls I'm getting pitched Nashville-based production companies that they never even would have known last year. And I'm laughing, going, you're bringing up, I just had a drink with that guy last Tuesday, and that's like, it's new to them. But these are people that have been around doing it here for a while. So that's kind of fun.
So Lucas, you worked in the studio system. You've had to deal with WME, obviously, with the talent level and whatnot. Is that how you feel as well, being in LA still? Do you think that LA is kind of still the it place, the tinsel town, or have they blown it and it's all moving elsewhere? And before I have you answer that, I have this quick anecdote. If you film outside of the country, you don't have to pay royalties, and you don't have to pay SAG rates, and you don't have to pay pensions. That's a big number.
That's not totally true.
But clarify it and tell me why, if you do the math, international doesn't win almost every time to a state in the country.
Well, this is way too big a topic for this forum, but
it's a big one.
I will say that financiers who put up risk capital in the tens of millions of dollars, sometimes hundreds of millions, as mentioned before, would like as much free money as possible. So if it's a studio film, they will order us to go find, to go to Australia, where I was forced to go, or go to England, where I've shot a bunch of times, or whatever. They will force us to go get as much, non-recourse capital as we can get. One of the things you get internationally sometimes is a rebate on VAT. So you get sales tax back at the end of the production if it's for export. And on a $100 million movie, we might have $25 million of sales tax, or 22 or something like that. It's a ridiculous number. So that's a consideration. We go to Canada frequently because there's an arbitrage on the currency. We will, a US dollar compared to the Canadian dollar typically has a 20 or more basis point difference. So that means, it's 20% less costly per dollar. If the dollars were equal, and things are cheaper in Canada already, for us to go to Canada. So they have a good subsidy, whether you go to Quebec or whether you go to Ontario or whatever province you go to, you get a federal subsidy, you get a local subsidy, a provincial subsidy, and you also get the currency bounce. That can be like 50% of the budget of your film. It can be a really big number. So, you're making some, $50 million film for $25 million. That's compelling to people who fund movies. So they will force us to go places that maybe creatively we don't want to go. I built the Colosseum of Rome in Toronto. I didn't want to do that, but I just had to, because that's what I was told to do. So, it's largely, and I would just say, and it's a macro thing, I think you guys probably agree, whether it's music, movies, television, or whatever, the economic construct is the first hurdle that you have to get over to get to the next set of discussions. You have to present a plan that people who are putting up the money will agree to. And
Can I ask a question? Sure. All right, so I'm going to assume has anybody made any $100 million movies? This guy's the only one I know. I'm the only one I've ever met. I'm just doing this based on who we are, right? Like, if you have a $2 million budget, this is for both of you guys. The last two questions, talking about the union and talking about incentives, what are you thinking? Where would you go? Would you use SAG writers, actors? Would you try and avoid that? I know a lot of people in town do. Would you go to Oklahoma? Does it matter? Brian?
Make my job easy.
Sorry, I stole your foreign. I get
paid either way, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, so it does oftentimes depend on the film that you're trying to make. $2 million, it's hard. It's hard to
sometimes $1 million.
I'm getting heart palpitations.
you're going to make it at Mike's house.
That's right.
On my iPhone.
Yeah.
AI generated.
I could roll out of bed and make a movie in town. We did that last year. It's great. It's great to shoot locally. We're not trying to cast this wide net, and just be able to go all over the world. There's a lot of complications that come with that. Like, I think with a smaller film, and there, more and more, studios and networks are really trying to grind those budgets down. It's really hard to get around SAG.
Impossible.
Yeah, I mean, they show up, right? They come and they'll
Outside of the country,
they'll try to flip you.
You just don't tell them you don't need them? I'm kidding.
It's rough. And you
I'm
can't
kidding.
The
I
actors
know.
aren't the actors.
It's not true that if you're out of the country, SAG has a thing they call One World, and I'm sure you've heard of it, that they will hunt you down in Yugoslavia or wherever you are and tell you that you owe them money. And if you have a SAG actor in your film, they don't have to call you, they will call them.
What about below the line?
It's different below the line.
Yeah, I mean, with below the line,
open it up to questions.
there's more options. I mean, the film that we shot here, it was in that lower budget range, right? And you know, what we did in that case is make sure that we went to all of the below the line crew and said, look, we're going to pay you a really good wage. And, you know, and hopefully that wage is enough for you to show up to work every day. And, you know, what it came down to when we had to talk to the unions and they wanted to tell us why, you know, we shouldn't be doing it that way. I mean, once we showed them what we were paying people, it was like, how do they argue with it, you know? And of course, we want people to have health benefits and all the things, right? But if the budget doesn't allow it, our choice is either we don't make the film, right? And those people don't work, or we get creative and we try to do it in a way that really puts value on every single person, right? And there's going to be those people who are like, well, I'm not, you know, if it's not a union movie, I'm not going to do it. And okay, so you find the next guy, you know. And I'm not inherently opposed to working with unions. I just don't like it when it comes down to, you know, either making a movie or not, because nobody wins.
I hear Tilly Norwood is available. So, okay, I want to open up to questions for y'all, but I do have just one last question, and the fastest that you can answer, that'd be great. TikTok pays creators through several monetization programs and income streams. The primary method is the TikTok Creator Rewards Program, which compensates creators based on video performance, including views and engagements, which are likes, comments, shares. Eligibility requires being at least 18 years old, 19 in South Korea, having at least 10,000 followers, achieving 100,000 valid video views in the past 30 days. Creators typically earn between 40 cents and $1 per 1,000 views, with some reporting indicating potential earnings as high as $4 to $8 per 1,000 views. I thought I had the stuff here about fans only, but we don't have to get nasty on it. I just want to know who's going to be the first full-length feature film blockbuster coming out of the gate and earning it all on TikTok and not AMC or Netflix.
Really good question. Excellent question. That is the future of in my opinion, and it's only my opinion. That's the future of distribution for a lot of filmmakers and creators, is social networks of one kind or another, whether it's TikTok or YouTube or Instagram or whatever, X, and so on. That's where the action is, for sure. I think it's a good thing.
Well, depending upon what KPI you're using, I would argue that that's comes every single day. The big blockbuster. There are people on TikTok who have a larger audience than the 200 million plus dollar films. You have television, which is like, patting themselves on the back if they get a 2 rating, and guy in his basement, is getting 5 million views on a video, right? So I would argue that's already happened. If you're measuring it by sheer audience size, forget about it. Like, we can't. Movies and television are not competitive already with the size of audience.
The economic model is currently advertising based, and when that changes to a direct revenue, that's a total game changer for the business, I think.
We went through this with music, and it seems that the content seems to follow. We have artists that are independent, will never not be independent because of music discovery and YouTube and TikTok and streaming and Spotify and Apple. Once we got the monetization figured out, some of them, they're making so much money and have been for so long, and you're starting to see that come through the content side. It still has to figure itself out, but the new distribution model is going to be, now, that being said, I still want theaters to happen. You're not going to lose. We didn't lose the record labels. They just got smaller, and you have more choice. And so the thing for us on the content side, and these guys specifically, is distribution. That was said right away. It's the key to everything right now, right? It's the key to everything. And if we can figure out how these guys can do it on their own, if you can raise the money and put it out and monetize it, you were ripping off those TikTok stats, that's going to start happening in from YouTube is going to get really aggressive, and you're going to start, people are, am I wrong? People are saying, well, we'll just put it out on YouTube. If we can get enough viewers, then we're okay. We can get our...
Listen, my daughter my oldest daughter is a product manager at Netflix. Okay, she's a data scientist. The only thing they're worried about is social media. They're not worried about Apple or anything else. They're literally, their biggest competition, they've said this publicly, is YouTube. They're concerned about TikTok. They're concerned about other streaming platforms that are social-based platforms. That's where all of the action is. All of it.
Yeah, that's the data that's coming to me.
They should have bought TikTok. They had the opportunity to.
But it's like, there are serious discussions. Should we just put it out on YouTube? Because if we get X amount of streams, we can start making money and it will pay back over X amount of days and years. And you can get it out there, you can build a brand, and then maybe the next one you take, whatever. It's like happening.
Awesome. I just want to end it up by telling y'all, so, and this will be important to you because you're one of the top 20, maybe better, you tell me, producers of all time. In addition to individual creators, the owner of OnlyFans, Leonid Revnisky, received substantial payouts from the platform. In 2022, he was paid $338 million in dividends. How'd you like to have a blockbuster movie that did that? Equating to about $1.3 million per working day. Financial records from 2023 show he received $472 million in dividends, bringing his daily earnings to approximately $1.2 million a day. Figures represent dividends from the parent company Phoenix International Ltd. And are separate from his salary. If they can do it, Disney can do it. All right, I want to open it up to questions. Anyone have any questions for these guys? Right there.
Yeah, are investors excited about a film that is marketed toward YouTube or social media, or are they more comfortable with, the standard platforms that are available?
Well, I would say investors are typically not excited about a distribution model through YouTube, because even if the audience is there, the monetization is not, at least not at the levels that it can be within the traditional distribution platforms. But that's not to say that if you're making a film for a few $100,000, that there isn't an economic model for it. But much beyond that, it's just not there yet.
So in 2 years, your answer might be different to that.
Sure.
Right?
Anyone else? You're not going to get this lip. Okay, in the back. Hey, I know that.
I heard you're in development on a really good film called Where I'm Bound. I was just wondering what the status of that film is, and could you tell us just a little bit about it?
Sure. Well, Where I'm Bound to me, this everybody, Nick Searcy.
Seriously, everybody, right there, check it out.
He's referencing a film that we're actually working on together, and it is the sort of quintessential example of the kind of movie that Nashville needs to be getting behind and supporting, because it's the perfect blend of a good story, but it's music driven. It's sort of like That Thing You Do, but it's around Southern gospel music, and one man's struggle with fame and kind of how to handle that. And so when I was talking earlier about this being a place for stories to be developed, that's a really strong example of the kind of movie that only Nashville can do. But in order for that film to really work and to generate, the investment that it needs and everything else, you have to get a lot of different players on board. That includes record labels and music supervisors and artists and songwriters, and they all have to be willing to play ball in order to see that film be successful and ultimately, generate revenue for the music business and of course the film itself. And Mike can tell you all the complications, the inherent complications that are there. I mean, typically you start conversations with a record label, and it's like, well, how much are you going to pay me for my song? Okay, we'll get to that, right? But there's a broader vision here, and if we think about it as a rising tides opportunity, then maybe it's not just about the front end transaction, but how it works on the long tail for everybody. So to answer your question, Nick, I think that is the kind of project that we we should be creating here, getting the city and the labels behind, because it's a great calling card for all of the things that Nashville has to offer as an entertainment capital.
Yeah, just think of what Pure Country did for George Strait, and I mean, it's still played to this day. There's money being made. He just had a record sellout of Texas Stadium. So that's fantastic. Any more questions? Way back there.
Yeah, we didn't really answer the question about, is the LA exodus continuing? Is it dead? And where are those filmmakers going?
That's for you. I already exodused. You're still there.
I don't know, I'm sitting here in Nashville. I think...
Do you pay property taxes yet?
No. I think artists are going where the action is, and if the action is somewhere like Nashville, then we'll come here. I don't think... We think about it kind of project by project, like, you know, is this the right place creatively for what we're trying to achieve? Nashville has a lot of positives that weren't apparent maybe a few years ago, but have become very apparent now. And so I think people are moving here, people want to work here. It has a good vibe, creatively speaking.
And it is a renaissance. I mean, Jason Aldean did try that in a small town here, became #1 without even a PR firm, and I think it's becoming a movie. And then we've got the #1 country song right now is The Devil in the TVA with John Rich. His last #1, Nick played the devil in. I don't know why they chose him for that, but they did. I guess it was irony of all ironies. But yeah, this is the place. Music Row can very easily be Movie Row by just setting up shop here. And UTA is already here, so come on, let's go. So is WME. Any more questions? I think we got a couple. Oh wow, okay, right here.
It seems like there's a number of writers here, though, so I'm all kind of curious to know exactly how important is following trends. I'm always being told that as like a producer, they're looking for specific genres and everything. At the same time, it's like we talked a little bit about, you know, story is king, you know, if you don't have a good script.
One thing the three can agree on is the writers are the worst, but the next panel, they love the writers. So stick around for that too. I'm just kidding, but the first paid and the last paid.
Sure, okay, so the short answer to that question is sure, right? Following trends can sometimes be a wonderful way to get a script into the marketplace, right? There's certain trends that are long-term trends like rom-coms or Christmas movies, right? I mean, if you write those, guaranteed there's, 150 of those films that will be sold every year, and that's probably a very low number, right? But I also think that, if you're a writer and you have a particular story or passion in your heart, then you have to follow through with that, because as we talked about very early on in this panel, Hollywood is suffering from a lack of originality. So, I don't think you should be dissuaded from telling the story that you have, that you need to get on paper. Do that. And the thing about trends is they change all the time. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we as a company have decided to take advantage of what seems like a trend, and then by the time you get it to the right layer within a studio system, that whole management team is gone, and they're like, yeah, we know we said we liked male-driven stories around fishing, but now, I mean, we're all about the ladies, right? It's like, by the time you've followed the trend, it's already another one.
Who else? You had one already, in the back.
Gotta wait.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you had mentioned earlier about AI stunts because of the insurance and the risk involved. Is it really a stunt if it becomes AI? I mean, people want to see Tom Cruise doing it because it's Tom Cruise really doing the stunt. So is it going to be will there be continue stunt performers still continue because AI cannot really replace the risk involved? A lot of the appeal is the risk, I guess is what I'm saying.
Is that for one individual up here, or?
Anyone, yeah.
I'm nominating
All right. Lucas Foster, everybody.
Okay, well, TC likes doing those stunts. He is a thrill seeker in real life. That is not like an affect. That's his particular personality type. I worked with him. He's complicated. He likes to go fast. He likes to drive things fast. He likes to. I went on a rafting trip with him once, and he was like, "Let's jump off this top of a cliff." You know, like, I'm not gonna jump off the cliff. Why would I jump off the cliff? He's like, $10,000 for anybody who'll jump off this cliff, and some idiots did that. You know, he's a particular personality, and he has turned that into a branding exercise in a way. It's become kind of part of his identity. You know, Tom owns like, I don't know, 150 motorcycles, 14 or 15 airplanes, and so on. So, you know, that's not like fake. It's not a marketing thing. That's like who he is. And I don't think, you know, I don't know if do you go to the movies because it has cool stunts? Is that why you go to a movie? Maybe you go to a movie because, like Mission Impossible, let's say, because it has a certain amount of spectacle in it that you expect. Whether or not Tom did the stunt or whether that's a digi-double. You know, Tom injures himself a lot. So just in his particular case, a lot of movies where it starts with him, if you really step frame through the movie, you'll see that at a certain point he broke his ankle, and that's a digi-double now. So, you know, it's a marketing thing now, I guess, as much as it is an experiential thing. I don't think it matters whether we define it as a stunt or not as a stunt. You know, we do a lot of previs I make a lot of action adventure movies. So we pre-visualize everything we do because it's so expensive to make a mistake. So we plan meticulously with a level of detail that would shock you, everything we do. And you know, we have sequences in movies that cost, you know, $5 or $6 million for less than a minute of footage. So we're very thoughtful about what is physical, what is digital, where the line is between what's real and what's not real, and where the audience will know the difference and where the audience might not notice the difference. I mean, I've been doing this for so long in so many different ways to try to mask that we didn't have the location, the correct location, or we didn't have the actor couldn't do a certain thing past a certain point, but we did it as a oneer. So it seems like it's all one shot, but it isn't really. It's got cuts buried in it, and we have some digital stuff in there, hidden in there. There's a lot of techniques we use to engage you emotionally in what's happening and make the stunt or the action beat feel like it matters. TC is very, very good at that. His level of meticulousness is hard to understand unless you've experienced it directly. It's quite something. And the movies reflect that. Some of the best action movies of recent years have been made by that guy. Because it's not that he did the stunt, it's that he meticulously planned how the stunt was going to play in the story and what the audience would see and where the verisimilitude of the character doing that thing would make a difference versus where it won't make a difference. And he's one of the best movie producers I have ever met, if not the best. He's an incredible force of nature in the entertainment business.
Last action hero, maybe. Anyone else? I think we have time for one more. In the back, ma'am.
Back on screenwriters. For those who are screenwriters and they have ideas that they would like the movie to be produced, but then you have, you know, they take your story basically and change it completely. Is that still, would you recommend that writer to hold off and try to produce their movie the way that they're envisioned, like how they envisioned, or do you give in and you let them do what they want with it? Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Do you represent writers too?
Well, I mean, we obviously represent writers, but I think I might be the wrong person to answer it, but that's you, that's your heart. You know, it's your script, it's your story. So, you know, going back, it all starts with the story. how bad do you need the work? Do you want to work? I mean, sometimes we'll take a script and it's kind of ours to do with what we want, at that point. So
You sell it, you sold it.
yeah, so I just,
We have to wrap it up though.
that's a you question, I think, and your willingness to change what your art, I think.
It's the only art form that requires hundreds of hands to touch it, and so you have to decide, are you doing the art for yourself, and that's totally okay. Or if you're doing it as a career, you have to be...
Write a play, write a 1-act or 2-act play if you want to have total control. Or write a novel, or write a song. But don't write a movie if you want total control.
I had a call with the studio yesterday that was sheepishly saying, would they change, we love this script, we love it, but the arc for the female lead, and can we kill this guy quicker? And I had to go back and ask the writer if he would be willing to choose, and he said, yes.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. That was awesome.
Heartland Journal Podcast is the media property of heartlandjournal.com, where you can find news stories, commentary, and content serving the heartland of America. Any views or opinions represented on the podcast are personal and belong solely to the creator and do not represent those of the people, institutions, or organizations that the creator may or may not be associated with in professional or personal capacity unless explicitly stated.